A good day and welcome again to Elections Insights. I am your host, Pastor Wendell Jeffrey, and I am here this afternoon, very privileged to sit with a man I respect for his intellect and his objectivity, none other than the former Minister of Finance, Mr. Winston Jordan. Welcome.
Thank you, Pastor Jeffrey, and it's good to be here. I live just around the corner, and this is only my second invitation.
Yeah, second invitation.
But only my second invitation.
Yeah, we always open.
But I am glad to be here, and hope that we will have a straight, frank discussion this
Yes,
afternoon.
I thank you. We were frank the last time when
Yes.
when we were here.
Definitely.
So off the cuff, the election bells have rung, or the bell has rung, and we are on the cusp of another election. And there is a talk out there that you are being considered as a potential candidate to lead the coalition. Have you heard of that, and are you prepared for such an eventuality?
Yes, I've heard talk. In fact, everywhere I go, people are beseeching me to get back into active politics as such. But I maintain my stance that I did in August when I spoke to President Granger, right? Because he even urged me to stay on and go back into Parliament. You may not know this on your program, but I had said it on other programs, that he had offered me the opposition leader twice, and I declined on both occasions. I indicated that I was going back into my family life. I don't see myself as a politician. I see myself as a professional dabbling in politics, basically. But I'm first and foremost a professional person. And so I said, no, I'm going back.
At that time when you told him, there probably would have been a clear leader for the opposition. But now it seems as though there isn't a clear or a decisive leader. And given the fact that you are a patriot, do you think that now that there is this uncertainty as to who should lead and so on, do you think that it's an opportunity for you, if only for the immediate future, to do what might be patriotically necessary?
Well, you got several elements in that. First of all, you assume that there was a person who could be identified as opposition leader after I would have declined. Is that the assumption that you were making?
Well, at the time you were declining.
I would like to think, in President Granger's view, no.
In your view at the time?
In my view at the time.
Was it a no for you too?
No, what I'm saying is that after I declined, I suggested a number of names to him.
But while you were declining,
Yes.
did you have in your head, or did you suspect that there was sufficiently somebody there who could take that position?
No, but that's what I'm saying to you. Because listen, in the coalition, I belong to no party. Okay, so he was essentially offering opposition leader to somebody who did not belong to the main party, which is the PNC. All right, that in itself for me was a bit of an anomaly. It's one of the reasons why I declined, because I honestly felt that such a position should go to a member of the PNC.
So I'm trying to pick, we're talking here, and I'm trying to pick your brain. Are you saying that even though the leadership was not clear at the time to President Granger, and even though you thought that you could probably have accepted the position, that you declined, even though you know that a void was there?
I'm saying to you up front that I would not have accepted the position, regardless.
Even though the country needed, even though you could have represented your country at that level?
Listen, my friend, I have been, from the time I left school at 15 plus 16, I've been working.
Wait.
Okay.
I take it you're a religious man. Are you?
Listen,
The Bible said be not weary in well-doing. So what I'm hearing you say is that even though you could serve, you were not willing to serve because you've served long enough?
What you are hearing is that I have been at it non-stop from a very early age, okay? And what I am doing, at every phase in your life, you have a set of energy that you can devote a range of things.
Okay.
Okay? When you reach to the stage where I'm at, I'm in my late 60s. 2 months from now, I'm 68. So this is a phase now which is the more relaxation.
Okay.
I value relaxation
I get you.
way more than horly-borly
I got you.
politics.
All right, don't let me belabor that personal push anymore. Let me ask you this time though. Do you think that Mr. Aubrey Norton is sufficiently able to lead the coalition to a successful victory?
Well, that's a very subjective question, simply because, number one, who is a person that is sufficiently able? When it comes to, for example, an incumbent, there are a number of positives or advantages as opposed to positives that that individual has. And to me, the hurdles are less than in the opposition, essentially. Aubrey went to an election, he won the election. Okay, he may have had a bit of scramble and so on. So he's the official leader of the PNC. We all talk about democracy, okay? But when that democracy throws up somebody and we don't like that somebody for whatever reason, we find every reason to
Are you being a politician and not answering my question? The question was clear.
No. The question is not clear.
You said to me that you are not. You said to me that you are not a member of any party.
Yes.
That you, when you were asked by President Granger, you thought that it was an anomaly in as much as you were being asked to fill a position that you thought should have gone to somebody who was a leader of the party.
Yes.
Then you went on to say
yes.
that in lieu of you being the leader, you recommended some names, and you were very pluralistic in your so it wasn't one name. So in light of the fact that you proffered to Mr. Granger a list of names, I am asking you if you think that Mr. Norton is sufficiently able to lead the coalition. It is you who said that you had more than one name.
No. You're taking it. Listen to me very carefully. When I refused the opposition leader, you asked me something that suggested, look, did you refuse knowing that there are other people? Something to that questioning that you asked me, that there were other people who could fill the void. Is that what you asked me?
You said that you offer some names.
Well, I suggested some names. I suggested some names.
Was Norton one of those names?
No, not at that time. Because
would you have suggested his name now?
Yes, I would have suggested his name.
So you think that he's sufficiently able now?
Look, he is sufficiently able. Aubrey is a political animal. He's been in the party since 1972 or 73. He has been through all the leaders of the party. He knows the inside out of the party. He has been going around. He's known very well, whether it's in Bam Bam Alley or whether it's in the high circles and so on. He's known very well. Okay? Now,
he has your support?
At this stage, I'm neutral. I'm neutral.
If one of the names that you were suggesting,
yes,
if one of those names had bubbled to the surface in the democratic process,
yes,
would you have said that you support the person?
I would have said so, yes.
But you can't say that of Norton.
Well, if Norton name would have been suggested at the time, I would have supported them also.
It was you who were suggesting the names.
No, but I'm saying to you, the names that came out here, Aubrey was not, for whatever reason, and I know what the reason is, right? But I'm not going to say it.
I like
but
that.
Aubrey wasn't close to the, in doing the coalition. Aubrey only had what is called, I think, was something to do with youth, right?
Ostracized.
So he wasn't part of that, thing. And so he wouldn't have featured in the way how people who were more close to the cabinet, close to Mr. Granger, and so on. You understand?
Yeah.
So sometimes you don't. I mean, you got to be, as you said, very diplomatic.
Are you confident, and on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that the coalition can win back the government?
Well, we don't have a coalition of the kind that we were trying to put together.
Coalition.
There are several pieces of coalitions, you know. I mean, the coalition that we had before...
I'm not asking you... we're not doing revisionist history.
No, we're not doing revisionist history.
There's an existing coalition, and I'm asking you if you think that the current coalition...
There is no existing coalition. The original coalition we had was the APNU plus AFC. You don't have that now.
But I see there's a APNU plus WPA.
But there were the last APNU had in WPA.
So what's happening now then?
And there would not be an APNU plus WPA. The WPA will be part of the APNU. They're not going into the election as APNU plus WPA.
So why are they branding it as such?
No, there was a press conference and you should have listened to Aubrey today.
Okay.
He said it, he's answered that question today. That it was a press conference, a press statement or something like that they put out.
Okay.
But going into the election, they are going to go in as APNU because that is a brand that everybody knows.
Let me reframe the question. Do you think that the current opposition, parliamentary opposition, has the capabilities to retake the government?
The current parliamentary opposition,
yes.
Again, that's a coalition, and they're not a coalition. So you're asking me a question, a hypothetical question that is not...
The majority...
is not possible.
The majority of the opposition right now, the APNU.
The majority is the APNU.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you think that they're sufficiently capable of...
No, I think they would have a lot of work to do. A real lot of work to do. And there was a lot of work to be done in that 5 years that wasn't done, essentially. So they got a lot of catching up really to do.
As a part of your moving into your relaxation, your less stressed out period in your life, would you offer yourself as a consultant to help them do what needs to be done so they can re-win the government? Well,
I'm even though I'm on the relaxation phase, I have never been out of it. I just don't want to be in it as a means of either paid or contractual, or somebody depending on me. I mean, every day somebody calls me and say, man, we need this help and so on. And I want to use that thing which says, I'm on my relaxation. However, I have been assisting them with budget. Every MP, opposition MP who calls me, I try to guide them, put them on the right track, help with some research if I have the time, and so on. So I'm in the back room at my own time, okay? I'm not in the back room because somebody has me on a retainer and so on. I'm in the back room on my own time.
I want to ask this as a political novice. Well, a person who is interested in politics, but as a novice. Do you know anybody who has taken the position that you have taken to retire from active parliamentary work as a politician? Do you know anybody else? Can you?
I can't say offhand, but again, you're putting me into a mold. I keep saying to you, I'm a professional who dabbled in politics. I've never considered myself to be a politician. I mean, a lot of people say, well, maybe that is the reason why you think and so on. But I like to be honest, and I'm telling you.
Can you then briefly differentiate between your position and the position of a politician in your position?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an Aubrey. Aubrey tells himself, and he says up front, he's a political animal.
Right. And you, right? But I'm just wondering, because it could be semantics, maybe he could say he's a political animal, and you could be more of a political animal than him.
No.
So Aubrey, I'm asking you, what makes a politician a politician?
So listen, Aubrey, Jagdio, all these people, they are into politics as if it were life and death.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
They're there, they go meet people, they kiss babies, they're whiny, they're Skeldon, and all these different places. They meet people, they're 24/7 and so on. Okay? They're committed politicians.
You're more technocrat.
I'm just a technocrat. You know, the Constitution provides for 4 technocrats. Okay. Ramphal. Okay. I mean, don't treat... Ramphal was not a politician.
I got you.
Ramphal was a technocrat.
I got you.
Shabuddin was a technocrat.
Okay.
Justice Mosiah, Chancellor Mosiah, who became Attorney General, was a technocrat. Did you see him going wrong in Cane Field with floods and all these kinds of stories?
Fair enough.
No, you know, so that is what I'm saying. You say you dabble in politics simply because once you become a member of the cabinet and so on, there are a lot of political matters that come into play. So, I mean, even though I'm saying to you that I'm a professional, in the interest of transparency and openness, I must indicate to you that I used to be a member of the YSM, right? Like Aubrey, I joined the YSM somewhere around 1972, right? And I lasted there up to about 1976.
But again, that was not, you didn't see yourself as a politician even then.
No, well, you know, I mean, you're growing up, you're very strict and so on. Your mother wants you in the house by 6 o'clock, right? You're a young teenager now, because 72 I would have been 15, going into 15, right? All right? And no, let me just finish it off. And so you want to go out, but your mother wants you in 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. So joining the YSM was some means of being outside, because the meetings are finished about 10 o'clock and so on. You're outside, you're meeting people, you're getting to go on camps, you're getting to go to meetings and all this kind of thing. You're meeting people and so. So it was just like Boy Scouts. I joined the Boy Scouts also. I was happy for it. I went to 2 jamborees, including jamboree in Barbados. You know, I mean, I see people, KLM land yesterday, and people tell them, KLM come to Ghana
No,
first time.
it was
what the hell these people know? They don't know.
It was
KLM, ALM.
Yeah.
Until these airlines, KLM, you know.
Let me shift a little bit. The current administration borrows against the wealth of Guyana, right? They borrow money because the banks would lend them in as much as the banks are satisfied that they can repay the loans.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't the Granger administration borrow against, the oil really came to fore during your administration.
Yes.
Why didn't you borrow against it to do some of the infrastructural work that was needed when you guys were in office?
Good. By the time forced oil came in 2019, right? They had, I think, they were working on Lisa 1. Okay? The forced oil came from Lisa 1. There were a number of people who approached us to lend. But every one of the banks who approached us to lend approached us to lend on what you call bullet loans. 2 years. At the end of 2 years, you have to pay back in full. The interest rate was market plus. Then, of course, the scouts got to be paid commissions and so on. All right? That didn't sound feasible, number one. Number two, we had a problem already spending money that we had budgeted for. They have the same problem too.
You mean more money than they're not spending sufficient money?
Look, we had what they had now, where we were forced on a monthly basis to bring the ministers and their prominent secretaries and all the other people that you see Mr. Mann has done. He has done it one time. But we had instituted it monthly because our public sector investment program was not moving. It was not moving. So I'm saying to you,
wow.
You have money, and there's difficulty in spending it because you have capacity problems in the public service. You don't have the skill set, right? In fact, even up to today, in the public works, there's a group called Work Services Group. We had to create that group and pay them special salaries to retain and attract a certain set of people, engineers and so on.
So you're saying that the developmental stymie that obtained during your administration was not as a result of a lack of funds?
No, it wasn't a lack of funds. It wasn't a lack of funds. You check and you will see many times budgets, when you check the budget and you check the revise, the people didn't spend all the money.
But then what you're saying is very telling.
Well,
because
I mean,
if a country looks to the government for infrastructural works and expansion and so on, and you are here saying to me now that the problem was not a lack of money, then maybe you should have lost the election.
No, well, I mean, how do you make the two conclusions?
Because the country is looking at you for progress.
Pastor, you'll have a problem. You'll have a problem in social sciences.
Yeah,
Please. You can't come. You can't.
Well, let me tell you where it's coming from.
Let me finish. Let me finish because maybe you'll get the wrong impression. Look, I am saying to you, we had money. Okay, we budgeted for projects. In many cases, we could not complete these projects because on the government side, there was a lack of capacity, there was a institutional capacity, there was lack of human resources. On the private sector side, they lacked capacity also, lack equipment, and all these kinds of story, right? So that's what I'm saying to you.
And so let me tell you what I'm hearing you say. I'm hearing you say that the expansion that is happening now under this government could have happened under your government.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Because the expansion that is happening now is substantially greater than the resources that we had in 2019,
but your
2018,
problem wasn't
and
resources.
so on.
This is what I'm telling you. I'm listening to you. Your problem was not resource. Your problem was the ability to execute.
You also have a huge problem with what you say. Listen, what you say now, number one, is far more resources that are available, that you can attract far more people, that you could attract all those Chinese and whoever else are coming, and so on. You did not have that quality of resources. The resources that we had was basically to be used by, let us say, internal, right? Because you're not talking these billions and trillions of dollars that you're talking at today. You're talking our biggest budget in 2019 was $300 something billion. The budget this year is 4+ times.
Yeah, correct.
That budget. So I mean, please. I mean,
no. I admitted to you that I'm coming across as a political novice because I want to know what you know. But I'm hearing, what would you have done differently in retrospect as the Minister of Finance?
What we have done differently. Number one, I believe that if we had this one here, I know my folks are going to maybe go after me on it, but I feel that it is easier in a decision-making sense if you are a monolithic party, like the PPP, than the coalition that we had. Because your coalition, you had, I think it's 5 or 6 people in the APNU, and then you had plus AFC. So these wide and disparate interests, decision-making took a longer time. In some cases, would have been suboptimal because some may not have liked it, so, and so on. But they will go along with it. And the feedback and the communication and all these different things, far more than, say, a PNC or a PPP, where it's more monolithic. So that is a major problem. Then, if you are PPP win the election or PNC win the election, you're talking about a whole constituency. When you have a coalition, you have various constituencies. And notwithstanding the fact that you have a coalition, it's not monolithic. Everybody retains their identity. And so in that, they are demanding funds based on what they perceive to be their constituency, while at the same time they're trying to build up their image. You see where this is leading to?
I follow you, but
what I'm saying to you then, you can have a plan going forward and so on. But that plan it has to be where the sum of the parts now got equal to the whole, as opposed to, say, a monolithic party, where the plan is the plan equal to the whole.
Beautiful. I like that. But you know, and I see that you had a disclaimer, you realize that the same quandary exists now.
It is. And why you think, for example, one of the reasons why you can't get a coalition put together? Why you think? First of all, it would have been where they would have made assessment of how the previous coalition ran. I just before I came here, I was listening to AFC's press conference. And this morning, Norton said that the AFC was demanding 55%, right? They tried to explain it. Patterson tried to explain it in the press conference today and said, no, that's not the case. What they were doing or what they discussed was that the junior party, in other words, the one who doesn't have the presidency, must have a 55% voting in the cabinet. Now, I don't really understand what that really means.
It's amongst the same thing.
Well, I don't even know if it's amongst the same thing. I can't even conceive of such a thing being the president. So here you have, here what you're going to have. A president who the Constitution recognizes as the supreme authority.
Correct. Being subject.
Being subjected to a minority.
Right. His plans and visions for the country.
For the country and so on, it's now being subjected to a minority who holding 55%. Not of the ministers, as he said at the press conference, but the voting.
Yeah, yeah. So, the same thing because except one person is going to get more than one vote.
Well, no, that is like a coup anyhow, because if you have that sunset clause where you have 55% of the voting, you don't have to worry anymore, except that the person who's going to be held for anything is going to be the president.
Correct.
It is not, you see, it is not different to what Aubrey is at the moment. I see a lot of people like, but to be very fair, Aubrey is not the leader of the list. So when Aubrey gets there, he inherits everybody. When a new lion takes over, they kill all the cubs.
From the
last thing.
Yes,
and then I'm not saying kill all the people. But what I'm saying, he is not the leader of the list. So he inherits all these people. So they're not beholden to him.
When you talk just now about the challenges that the opposition and the likely coalition would have in winning the next election, are those some of the things that come to mind that you see as hindrances to the possible winning of the election?
Well, not the election, but putting together the coalition. Look, what Ghana needs is a governance structure, right? Where, at the end of the day, this large number of people who feel excluded, whether it's in case of the PPP if a PNC win, or a PNC if a PPP win, we have to have a governance structure where this large number of people who feel excluded will not feel excluded.
You know, I heard this before by members of the opposition. Now they're on the opposition.
But you heard it also. You saw it also with when we were in power versus the PPP.
But why you guys didn't do it? Why you did not include any member of the PPP in your cabinet?
Well, okay. Glad you asked the question. From day one, President Granger initiated discussions with the then opposition leader, Jagdeo, and he could come here and deny it. Jagdeo made very, very, very plain that with the exception of matters to do with our border, national interest or border, he will not cooperate with the government.
So, wait, hold a while. Again, man, so I am John Doe as a citizen.
Yes.
Why it is that the former Minister of Finance has to tell me, I'm halfway intelligent. Why didn't President Granger blast that on the thing? Look, man, we are saying that what is necessary in Guyana is a management structure where a number of the people who feel disadvantaged or left out are part of the coalition. And I am asking the current opposition leader, Dr. Jagdeo, to send members or himself. Why are you now telling me this 5 years after?
No, I'm not now telling you this 5 years after. You know, you sound like one of those video I was watching recently when the man said, oh, the coalition didn't do this and that and so on. But then, if you look, it's the coalition who initiated the raid project in Buxton and bring McAllen backland and so on. So please, don't go down the road. What I'm trying to tell you is this, and it was always in the news.
It was?
Always in the news. Jagdeo made very plain publicly that he will not cooperate with the coalition.
And the president at the time said that he was wanting that?
They talk about constitutional reform. But when the coalition named Prime Minister Nagamutu to lead the coalition group to the question of constitutional reform, Jagdeo them refused. Not only refused, Mr. Nagamutu was called all kinds of names and all kinds of story done. There were many, when we, unlike what is going on now, every time we named the board, we left positions for the opposition to name on those boards. They never did. They refused. Only if it was constitutionally required. But they never did. So how are you going to come now and tell me whether Granger didn't tell you this? These are things that are facts and they are in the public domain.
Maybe I'm not in the public because I am one who believes that there should be some kind of power sharing at the administrative level. I honestly believe that. And it's in light of that I want to ask you. You worked at the time with, in the same ministry with former President Dr. Jack Dio. If he were to call you and ask you to assist the PPPC, as an advisor, the consultant, would you accept?
Then yes, now no.
Then yes, now no.
No.
And you will refuse now based on what?
Well,
because you're doing it right now for the opposition.
Listen. Jack Dio has made it personal where I am concerned. Okay? He has made it personal. A couple of weeks ago, he went on his program and he said he kept me on at Ministry of Finance because he was sorry for me. You see? So don't let me get in that story. Okay. You understand? He has made it personal and he's known to be personally insulting people and so on. I will never work with the today's PPP. Never. I worked with that one before because I inherited them in 1992. I wasn't there when they won the election in October. I was on a Fulbright fellowship in the United States. I went back there in 93. I resigned in 94 because of what I saw then. I made it very clear then to the then Minister of Finance, Asghar Ali, that this was a racist government. Or what the racism that I have seen there, I can't take it, and I gone. It is Jack Dio who in 1995, June, who did all out to get me back into the ministry at the time when he was made senior minister. This is the man who gone on his program to belittle me and to tell people that he's sorry for me, a tenured public servant. A tenured public servant, that he's sorry for me, that he could have dismissed me.
So you take it personally?
I must take it personally.
Okay. All right.
I am not a slave.
Again, I'm asking these questions in the light of your patriotism.
No, I agree. I love that you
are I'm wondering if at some point, you know, if I can digress, Eckhart Tolle said, Eckhart Tolle is a guru, philosophical guru, and he said, if there's one mistake God made, was to make people with egos, make humans with egos. Because I'm asking you these questions in light of the presumption that you are more patriotic than anything else.
I am patriotic.
And what I'm hearing you say is that you can help your country, but if Jack Dio insults you, you can't offer your help to benefit the country because you'd be subject to a man who thinks little of you as a person. Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't care whether you put it black, white, blue. I am saying to you, I will never work, never. They say never say never.
Yeah.
I will never work for the present PPP government.
The present PPP.
Because they say ingratitude is worse than witchcraft. Mm. The top two people in this government worked at the Ministry of Finance when I was at the Ministry of Finance. They had great things to say about me when I was there. Mm. The forced disrespect of Jack Dio came, I think about because they say as a politician you got a thing, it came as when I delivered, I think it was my first budget in 2015. The forced disrespect. Even basic things like calling minister and so on, he never did. He never, even now he just said Jordan. He don't say Minister Jordan, much less back at them time. So, you know, it's those kinds of, you know, and most people used to say like use PPP, because when they see I used to be working with the PPP back in the 90s, the early 2000s, say like use PPP, we got to watch you and so on, right? Jack those talk things, good things about you and so on. Why say them, you know, buddy here, you know, I could separate me politics from things. Notwithstanding the fact that they always were suspicious to me and, you know, he must be a PNC and so, but I never brought any politics into my thing. And he could come in and could say anything, he could not say anything differently.
On a different matter, running out of time quickly here.
Whoa, I started 4 hours ago.
I would love to sit for you for 4 hours. It would be a pleasure. I'm enjoying this. The 18 million US came up again in the last press conference.
Yes. Can you tell me exactly what he said? Because I don't want to
I'll
answer.
I'll give you an idea what he said, and then I'll tell you what I heard you say.
Yes.
And we have the clip.
Yes.
Where he said that it was a sign-in bonus. But when you guys, you didn't put it in the consolidated fund, which raised suspicion. And then when you were confronted on it, you said that you thought it was a gift. Can you explain why it didn't go in the consolidated fund? And when you thought it was a gift, what do you think that gift should have been used for?
Okay, good. So let's start from very beginning. First principles, right? When Exxon was approached, they were approached for assistance with the Guyana-Venezuela controversy, albeit for resources to finance the large retinue of lawyers and whoever else we will had to get to prosecute our case, eventually at the ICJ. We were in discussions with the United Nations Secretary General at that time. He did not make up his mind as to whether he will send the matter to the ICJ. But meanwhile, we got to get these lawyers preparing our briefs and all these kind of different things. We have to get researchers who got to go to England, to go to UK, all these different places to get maps and all this kind of story, right? Serious money is going to cost. The approach went. And what I'm giving you is only secondhand because I was not a member of the team that approached the Exxon. If you can, you must try to get Kyle Greenidge. So he openly said on a program with Keanu Wilberg that he was one member of the team. He didn't name the other members of the team, right? So you could try to get him for him to give up a large flesh out. And further, in this book here, From Destiny to Prosperity, right, there is the speech that he made in Parliament on the same matter, right, on December the 14th, 2017, that he did on the issue to do with the signing bonus, right? It's right in here, or you could go to Parliament and get the thing, right? So Exxon said, look, we don't hand over money like that. We can't. They got a different rules, blah, 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 blah. We have to find a way of doing it. Hence the concept of the signing bonus. How much will be the signing bonus? My understanding is that they said, look, when the PPP was in power and they had the case with Suriname that went to UNCLOS, 10 million US that was gifted by private people was used to prosecute a case that was national between Suriname and Guyana. People don't talk about that. Private people put up the 10 million US CGX to prosecute a matter, a national matter between the governments, the territories of Suriname and the territories of Guyana. So the idea came, well, since 2003 or sometime like around then, that at inflation, all this kind of thing, roughly about 15 million. Right? That's how I learned it. And then another 3 was added for training because, you know, this thing spring upon us being at engineer, being at economists, all these different people. 18 million, that's how you got the 18 million. All right? Good. Remember, I'm telling you, at the time when we got this money, Exxon had already just about lost their holdings in Venezuela, right? Chavez had nationalized all of Exxon's holdings in Venezuela. They had gone to court in the United States. They had won. And so Venezuela owed them some 9-something billion. And you know, there was no love lost between Venezuela and Exxon. Exxon was now on the shelf. So because there were delicate relations and discussions going on with the Secretary General, we the coalition government did not want anything to get out to Venezuela that Venezuela could use to corrupt the minds of the Secretary General, and B, to corrupt the minds of Latin America and so on, that we were in bed with the Yankee imperialists and so on, and with this thing and so. So it was decided to keep the signing bonus on the cover, on the wraps. Okay? Now you ask why it ain't going consolidated fund. This money, as you well know, was specific to two things, the bulk of which is to go to the lawyers and so on. There was a time when we had difficulty paying these lawyers, and some of them, I think one or two left because we had paid late and they had difficulty in getting money and so on.
You had money, you had that 80 million at the time?
No, we didn't have that 80 million. The matters with Venezuela came along well before 80 million bonus. You know, we always got a problem. We always had an issue.
Were any monies of that 80 million used?
Yes, a small part of it was used before we transferred the rest in 2019 to the Consol Fund. And I'm hoping that you will put the two receipts showing the entire sum that was put into the Consol Fund eventually. But just let me finish, because this is a red herring. It's just that, a red herring, okay? The account was opened at the Bank of Guyana. The signatories to the account was the Secretary to the Treasury, the Finance Secretary, that's what they call him now, Finance Secretary, the Deputy Finance Secretary, and the Accountant General. They were the signatories to the account at Bank of Guyana. The Bank of Guyana the account was maintained and managed by the Bank of Guyana, the governor of the Bank of Guyana, who then invested the funds in the Federal Reserve Bank, where it could get interest and so on. All of that is there. Okay?
Okay.
So you have that. Small party money was used, transferred, and then the bulk of it was transferred in 2019 after the Secretary General committed to take the matter to the ICJ. Okay? But I want to show you how asymmetric the media can be. Asymmetric. I was in the Ministry of Finance. That's 18 million, right? I was in the, oh, by the way, sorry, let me backtrack a bit. GIF, right?
Yeah, I want you to,
GIF.
I want you to
answer the GIF. Let me tell you.
Why you call it a GIF?
Yeah. And this calling it a GIF was done in 2019 or early 2020 on a program I went to on Kaito News Radio. I said it was a GIF, and it is a GIF. There are two kinds of GIF. Look, if something is not a GIF, it's a loan. The opposite of loan is gift/grant. This money that was given to us by Exxon was a gift, but it is what you call a requited gift. There are two kinds of gifts, requited and unrequited. An unrequited gift, I can give you a watch for your birthday. Here's a watch. That's an unrequited gift. You don't have to do anything for it. And in fact, you could do whatever you want with it afterwards. You could sell it if you don't like it too. A requited gift is one where I'm giving you don't have to pay back, but I'm giving you this for some specific things. Or because you have done certain things, I'm giving it, you don't have to pay me it back. And I'm saying to you, the signing bonus was given for these specific, the bulk of it to be paid for lawyers. In fact, the account that we had to open, it has the name ExxonMobil sign-in bonus account. I've passed both receipts.
Okay.
And I was hoping that it would have been flashing on the screen by now. But I am saying to you, you see, Exxon, that is the name of the account at Bank of Guyana. ExxonMobil sign-in bonus.
You wanted to speak about the asymmetric.
So, and I'm going to go. So, don't let nobody. And in the estimate, it is recorded under the rubric of gift. So, you know, I mean, all these things, you must be aware that they're politics. And I love you asking the question, because next time, a person will come here and they, oh, he said it was a gift. Like if it meant the unrequited gift, and is he,
Of course, there was
Exxon
no
give you the money.
Right, but of course, when you said it, there was no explanation.
It was an explanation. Go and check the radio, go and check the tapes.
Okay.
Go and check the tapes. But what I'm saying to you, they cut out
Well,
that little
that's
piece,
probably what
the
happened
gift.
then. I probably
They cut
saw
out
the
gift
part where
word.
that was scuffed.
They cut out the gift. But you could ask Kaito News for the tape of that thing, and you will see the explanation.
We tried to find it online. And
you will see the explanation leading up to the gift. But let me show you on the asymmetric treatment of these things and money going into country. Oh, by the way, Nandalal, while he was in the opposition, took the government to court for judicial review for the money is not going into the Congress. You should bring it here and ask you what happened to the case and the decision for it. Right? And I'm begging you, read this book, just the statement of Greenwich. Because I can tell you, and up to today still exists, dozens and dozens of accounts that are offline the consolidated fund. Dozens. I don't want to say hundreds, because when we got in, it was over 100 and something or 200 and something. But now it's down to dozens and dozens of accounts.
To a value of more than that, 18 million?
18 million is how much? 3 point something billion. See, that's number one. That's the one. When you add up the two of them, you get way more than 18 million US. The rest is the interest that it earned on the account. Every penny in the account. Those are two receipts that showed that the amounts went into the console fund. Right? You could see their ExxonMobil account.
Okay.
So
you bring the receipts literally, right?
No, because
Right.
because they come here and he takes up all this time and he makes these fascinating things and let people Jordan don't need 80 million. My mother taught all of us, because we come from a one-room place in Kitty where dozens of us used to live in that one room, but we were just taught two things: education and dignity, not for thief. So if they got that in their mind, let they carry to somewhere else, not to me. But I want to come to you.
Yeah.
Now, do you know that under Jagdeo, when he was Minister of Finance, we had the Petro-Carib arrangement with Venezuela, where you will purchase oil from Venezuela at a let's say concessionary price. You pay a small amount and the rest is rolled into a debt. The beautiful thing about the rest being rolled into a debt is that the oil companies here had to pay the government of Guyana the entire sum in foreign currency. So if Shell, for example, you have to import oil from Venezuela, you import it at the regular price by paying the full amount to the government of Guyana. A part of that amount now will be paid to Venezuela, and the rest will be treated as a debt to Venezuela, paid over 25 years and whatnot, and with interest rates and so on. Now, that rest, let us say 25% is paid to Venezuela, the government of Guyana now has 75%. That 75% was retained by the government of Guyana in foreign currency and put into an account at Riggs Bank in Washington, D.C. Put in an account in Riggs Bank. It didn't put any consult fund. It was put in account. And this account over time accumulated over $1 billion US.
Was that above board? Was that legal? Just like how I'm just trying to understand that just like the 18 million did not go in the consult fund, but it was a legal maneuver or a legal entry. What you're speaking about there, was that a legal
maneuver, entry,
accounting?
everything that you want to call it?
It was.
Well, no. Remember, all this happened before my
No, I'm just
80 million.
Are you impugning?
Brother, they are impugning that we didn't put it in the consult fund. And I'm saying to you...
you understand what I'm asking you?
Don't listen. When you will make cash, you will take notice. You understand? You impugning that I didn't put the 18 million in the consult fund.
Right. But you did something similar.
And this is, I didn't.
But they did something similar.
But I can bring another one more recent than the one after mine. Hess has agreed with the government of Guyana to pay them 780 million or something like that in carbon credits. Over 10 years. Okay? Over 10 years. Ask the government, when Hess pays the money, where is it being lodged? Honorable Ferguson has asked these questions. And at the last sitting last week, Friday, when she was supposed to get the answers, the Speaker agreed to the deferral of the answers on request by the Minister of Finance with responsibility
but they
for
have
service.
to, if it's on the parliamentary papers, they have to eventually answer the question.
That's why, but I know the answer. The answer is when they get the money from Hess, they put it into a special account at either Bank of Guyana or one of those international banks. And it's there. She asked the question whether it's earning interest. She hasn't been able to get the answer. It is there. And when they're ready for it to disburse the 15% or how much to the Amerindians, they will bring that amount into the consult fund and then disburse to the Amerindians. It's no different than the signing bonus. The signing bonus was in an account at Bank of Guyana. When Foreign Affairs advises us that they need $500,000 US of that amount, we take that amount, you sell it to the Bank of Guyana. Bank of Guyana then credits the consult fund. Then we go through the budget now, and we withdraw it back, appropriate the funds back to him. So
thank you.
So, Mr. Jeffrey.
No, I got you. Listen, this is an interview, and you realize what happened, right? I was schooled, and I appreciate it. I appreciate the schooling. I didn't object. I didn't interrupt because I think that it's to the benefit of the Guyanese people and indeed the benefit of the government to know that you are challenging what they have been putting out about this situation. So now they hear it, and when reporters like me ask at any forum, then they will say yea or nay to what you have shared this afternoon. So let me finish with one question. You were before the courts for some activities that it's alleged that you had done under the last administration. Where are you in that process?
Well, you know, in relation to the one with BK, that had been thrown out, dismissed by the magistrate. The DPP went behind my back without I being a party, but a party does what the law says. We call it ex parte. And they went to the High Court to get me committed on the very same charge that I was discharged on. That matter was heard by the Chief Justice, and she dismissed it. You know, she didn't dismiss it with anything, but in my own reading, if I were the judge, I would have been dismissing it with contempt. But not contempt. What's the word?
Prejudice.
You know, I mean,
with prejudice
it was so, you know, thing. So, subsequent to that, I sued the government for $1 billion. That matter is before Gino Prasad. On March so I thought that is thing. On March the 27th, I think it was, or thereabout, a Thursday, I know it was a Thursday, they turned up at my house and summoned me to go to court on another matter, identical with different names. Much smaller amount because they were claiming that the WARF is $5 billion. Listen, I mean, all it was intended to do, it was to impugn my integrity. That is all. Because in the BK matter, it's a matter that took place God knows how long, since 2000 and thing. It was left for us. As in so many other matters when we arrived there in 2015, that was left there. A lot of people suffered because they fell out with the government didn't like them, and procrastination and whatever else. So it was meant to impugn me. Plus, it was done to silence me. It was done to silence because I, more than any other coalition member or member of the cabinet, was the one out there boring holes into some of the crap that they were putting out there and feeding the people. And I was getting a bigger and a bigger and a bigger audience. I can tell you certain missions who told people the explanations of someone I was giving them. They were happy to receive the other side. Okay. You understand? So this matter here, I'm $150,000 bail. It is being heard by the chief magistrate right now. And I have no, listen, I sleep well. beyond the little diabetes that I got and so on, that just keep me going to the toilet every minute and so on. But I sleep well. I live in just around here. I moved into this place here in 1985, and I'm still living here. Everybody knows, every time people pass my house, there's where Jordan live. I'm happy, and I'm contented, and I'm peaceful. And I did my work as a public servant over 40 years with integrity and everything else. Nobody can poke their hand in my eye and tell me that, or tell anybody that, what they're going to say is that, the man Jordan, we didn't want to go by here because this and that.
You sound very passionate, and I think that your lack of interest in being in active politics, I'm saying it loosely like that, or being an active technocrat, I think that it's to the deficit of Guyana. Because you sound as though you have what it takes to be out there. Either in some way supporting Guyana at this critical time, because like you said, during your administration, there was a deficit of manpower, and you said it continues, it's pervasive, it is even happening now. And with all the information and knowledge that you have, I think that it can only be to Guyana's detriment to not have you actively involved. But I want to thank you for your time. Okay.
Thank you, Pastor.
It was a pleasure sitting with you.
But never let it be said that the one man is the stone that the builders want to build the country. It will be built even without the one man. And that is what we must be able to do. Not give the impression that Ramphal is dead and therefore we can't carry on. You understand? So
but the point is not lost.
No, the point is not lost.
It's a collective.
The point is not lost, but we must continue to think out of the box. And remember, I said, I'm driving in the back seat.
Yeah. So you're driving.
I'm driving in the back seat,
right.
But I'm not driving in the front seat.
Yeah, thank you for
when the bullets flying now, I duck in. And
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We thank you for joining us on Election Insights. I'm Wendell Jeffrey. Please join us for another session when we meet again on this same channel. Thank you very much. Blessings on you.